Hello, my name is Sally and I am one of the makeup artists working with Look Fabulous Forever, skincare, hair care and makeup specifically designed for older faces like mine. Today I want to talk to you about different makeup applications for different eye shapes. This is a question we get asked a lot, and I get asked a lot when I'm doing my makeup lessons. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate one eye makeup look for my eye shape, but I'm going to talk you through lots of different eye shapes and eye problems and how our eyes change as we age, and talk through different ways of doing makeup for those. So what I have done already is I have applied my foundation, my Light Look Beauty Balm in shade 0.5. I've used my peach cream blusher and I've used some lipstick today. So I've done my tawny beige, my roseberry lip liner and cinnamon kiss lip gloss. So I've done my base, I've done everything apart from my eyes today. So first of all, let's talk about how eyes change. As we age, our eyes definitely do change. You might have noticed this if you are an older lady watching this video. Our brows fade. I've lost quite a bit of the end of my brows, and sometimes we lose our brows altogether. They either disappear, they fade, they go patchy, or they become really wiry as well. The skin on the lids of our eyes changes, and the skin gets looser, gets a little bit crepier, gets drier, and there is always more discoloration on the lids of older eyes. You've got the little veins coming through, maybe little sort of sunspots and age spots around the eye area. So you've got discoloration, you've got sort of crepiness, drier skin. The lashes, my lashes used to be much longer and they used to be darker. They often become paler and shorter and sparser. Again, like brows, you might find that you lose a lot of the lower lashes on older eyes as well. And even our eye shape can change as we lose the elastin. We very often get slightly more hooded eyes as we age, and the eyes can look a little bit more deep set, a little bit sunken in, can look smaller, can look just different as our face shape changes as we age, and everything that was a little bit more upright starts to come down a little bit. So the easiest thing to remember about makeup, and this applies really, really well when we're doing eye makeup for different eye shapes, is that light colours bring things forward and dark colours push things back. So anything that you want to make more prominent, you would put a lighter colour on to highlight it. Anything that you want to sort of push back and recede, you put and look maybe a little bit less noticeable, you'd put a darker colour on. And that works really well when we're applying that rule specifically to eye makeup. I think makeup and eye makeup can change an older face dramatically, and it's one of the easiest ways to make our makeup and make our whole face look more alive, more upright. You can change, it's just an illusion makeup. So I'm going to show you a few tricks with different dilemmas and different eye shapes that we might have. So let's get going. So the first eye shape that is very common is the basic almond eye shape. And that is actually similar to mine. Mine is a fairly almond shape, but for me, I have slightly faded brows and I am starting to go a little bit hooded, but I'm going to demonstrate a basic almond eye shape. That's a really good, and it's quite a nice eye shape to work with. And basically you've got three areas of the eye. You've got your brow bone, you've got your lid, and you've got your socket line. And obviously you've got your eyelashes as well. But with a basic almond eye, what you're really doing is recreating the natural light and dark that you get when you look at your eye with no makeup on. It naturally looks a little bit lighter under the brows, and it naturally looks a little bit darker sort of in the crease and the socket line. Let's get started, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with a basic almond eye, and then we'll talk through other eye shapes and what I would do with those. The first thing that I do with any older eye, and I think it's really important, is to use an eye primer, smooth out eye prime, because that will get rid of that discoloration. So just a small amount, about this much. And I'm going to use my concealer brush number 4 to apply the primer. So what this does is it just gets rid of all those little broken veins and all the little sort of bits of discoloration. And it also, I'm going to bring it a little bit higher than I normally do, because if you've got sort of deep set eyes, you actually want to bring it up a little bit higher. So I want to just demonstrate that you can bring it sort of up to about here. I usually bring it to just where I put my eyeshadow, which is literally just sort of on that crease there, just above the natural crease and the natural socket line. And I just blend it in with clean, dry, oil-free fingers as well. So let's just put some on the other eye. Make sure when you put this product on that your eyes are dry, that they are oil-free. You might even find that you want to put a little bit of this just underneath the lash line if you find that you've got very watery eyes and your eyeliner and mascara smudges. That can also help. So it gets rid of all that discoloration, but it will also keep my eyeshadow from and stop it from creasing as the day goes on. It's actually really hot today, so this will help me to stop it creasing. For a basic almond eye, what I like to do is to put a medium to lighter colour all over the lid area. So I am choosing today to use the shade Cappuccino, this one. And I'm going to apply it with my brush number 7. This is a lovely matte shadow, which again is really flattering for older eyes because it doesn't show up all the fine lines and the creases. So I'm just bringing it to just above that socket line area. Because my eye is starting to be a little bit hooded, I don't bring it too far down, which can have the effect of just drooping the eye. These are so easy to use because they're very gentle colours, but they've got a good density of colour, but you can build them. They're very buildable, so you can just build them up as much as you want. So a sort of medium to lighter colour all over. I could have used rose gold, I could have used cream, but I've just chosen to use Cappuccino today. Caramel pink, that's a nice one. If you are cooler, soft grey, that's a lovely one to use. Okay, so I'm now going to use a slightly darker colour, and I'm going to put that where we normally get darkness, but a little bit higher, because I want to kind of lift my eyes slightly. So just sort of above and in the socket line. So there are different ways to do that. You can either hold up a cotton pad just to create a bit of a template to do it, or you can do it freestyle. I like to use a smaller brush to place the socket line colour on, and I'm going to use our brush number 9, which is lovely. It's small and it's quite firm, so you can actually sort of press the colour in. Sometimes if you've got sort of lots of fine lines like I've got, if you try and do it in a perfect smooth line, it won't go in. So with an older eye, sometimes actually pressing it in helps. So I'm going to use a slightly darker colour. I'm going to use dark taupe. This one's my socket line colour. So again, this is for a basic almond eye shape. So what I like to do is start on the outside and just bring it just above the socket line. In a little bit of you can sort of see a slight sort of arc. So because my eye is a little bit hooded, I might go a little bit higher just to lift everything. So you're creating, in effect, just a slightly false, slightly higher socket line with the dark. I'm just bringing it down onto the base of the lashes as well. I kind of think of it as a bit of a 7 shape. That's the top of the 7, that's the side of the 7. Amazing how a little bit of a darker shadow can create a lot more shape to the eye. Eyes are definitely sisters rather than twins, so they're never going to be, mine are quite different, never going to be exactly the same shape. So don't panic if they're not the same shape. You're not alone. So I'm going to go back in with the first brush, which is my brush number 7, and I'm going to blend. What I'm going to do now with my basic almond eye shape is I'm going to define my eyes, and to accentuate that almond shape. I'm not going to bring the eyeliner all the way across. I'm going to sort of do it on the outer sort of half, 2/3. So I'm going to use one of our lovely soft eyeliners. I'm going to use dark brown, this one on the top, just to make my lashes, which again, it's another thing that I've got is much shorter, fairer lashes. So by putting eyeliner on the top as close to the base of the lashes as you can, it will make them look a little bit thicker and less sparse. What I like to do again with an almond eye is make it very slightly wider at the outer edge, lifting the eye and accentuating the almondness, and then just tapering. So I take the pressure off the pencil as I come in at the top. So let's do the same this side. And think to yourself, I'm drawing on the base of the lashes rather than above. And then you won't get a gap. So hopefully you can see that that's made my lashes look a little bit thicker even before I've put my mascara on. So I could use the same colour underneath, or what I like to often do is put a slightly lighter colour underneath. So I'm going to use warm taupe just to give a slightly softer look underneath. So you can see I haven't brought the eyeliner all the way across. I've kind of kept it to that outer half. If you don't like using eyeliners, although these are super soft, you can do exactly the same thing using the darker eyeshadow. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate that with my wedge brush number 8, and I'm going to take the darker colour, so that's the deep taupe, and just outline. In fact, I might even use a darker colour just to show. I'm going to use chocolate on the top. So this is a darker shadow. So if you haven't got any eyeliner on, but you want to just create the effect of eyeliner, go for one of our darker shadows. So chocolate or charcoal or aubergine or forest or midnight blue, and take up a little bit onto your wedge brush and just press it into the base of the lashes. And it sets it really well because it's like putting a powder onto the eyeliner. With the underneath, because I haven't gone quite so dark, I'm just going to use the dark taupe, this one. So it's not quite as dark. So you can play around with different colours. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to curl my eyelashes. So eyelash curlers, really, they look scarier than they are. Once you know what you're doing with them and you get proficient on them, it can really make a difference. If you've got sort of straight, that's the other thing, my lashes used to be a lot curly. Can you see the difference between that one and that one? So I'm going to use some mascara. Again, with almond eye shape, I want to accentuate that. So I'm going to use actually the black waterproof mascara, Lied Lash, which really helps me when I've got runny eyes with hay fever. And mascara can change the shape of your eyes. If you've got eyes that are quite sort of narrow, you can actually move your lashes to the outer, so do it in a sweeping outward motion. Converse, if you've got eyes that are wider apart, you can bring your lashes in. You don't have to put any on the bottom, but if you want to, just a little bit on the bottom. And then the last thing I'm going to do with my almond eyes is I'm going to put a little bit of highlighter underneath. Do you remember I said that light is where we naturally have light, just underneath the highest part of my eyebrows, which I'm going to do a little bit later when I'm talking about fading eyebrows. So let's put some Instant Bright Highlight, this product, which is brilliant for under the eyebrows, just underneath, just under the highest part of my brow. And then I like to go back with my concealer brush just to blend that in. It's a very natural highlighter, so it doesn't look too obvious, too shiny, which you don't necessarily want. Hopefully you can see that I have accentuated the basic almond eye shape that I have. with that look. So using eye primer everywhere, using a mid to lighter colour all over and a slightly darker colour just above and in the socket line area, and then defining them with eyeliner. So what happens if you have got a prominent or heavier eyelid? Some ladies have. Remembering that light colours bring forward and dark colours push back, you definitely want to use a slightly mid-tone to darker colour all over the lid, on the lid. You don't want to go light on a lid that is already coming forward too much. So I would rebalance that eye using that mid-tone, slightly darker on the lids. I would still apply highlighter on the upper brow bone, and then I would just use probably a mid-tone along the lash line, so something like the warm taupe that I did along the bottom. I would definitely curl my lashes like I've done with this one, just to lift them, using mascara to lift as well away. So that's a prominent or heavy lid, keeping the lid area dark to push that back. You might have hooded eyes. So as I say, this is probably the most common eye look as we age, is that this starts to come down. So with hooded eyes, you want to keep the lid area, again, maybe slightly lighter, mid-tone to lighter. So maybe using the cream colour eye shade. And what you want to do is to create a false higher socket line. So a little bit like I have done here, you can see I have put the slightly darker colour not just in the crease, but above. And so if you go a little, so look at yourself with your eyes completely relaxed. That's the important point to get the starting point of the darker colour. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look at yourself completely relaxed and think, okay, I want to see the socket line. So I'm going to go here. Even if your eye is quite hooded, you would be starting about there, and just literally that sort of arc of slightly darker colour to recede and make it look as though your socket line is higher than it is. It can be really effective. So just like that, you can bring a little bit down here as well with a hooded eye. With the eyeliner and the darkness, it might be that your eye is so hooded that you can't even really see eyeliner on that little top bit, so it might be that you don't bother. But I would try, if you can, just to put a tiny bit of the dark just along that very outer edge with a hooded eye, and underneath, probably like I've done, about halfway with your eyeliner. What you don't want to do when you put eyeshadow on to a hooded eye is you don't want to bring it down your face too much, because that will have the effect of drooping the eye even more. So keep the angle, the boundary from your nose to the corner of the eye up to your eyebrows, and the more hooded your eye is, keep that angle slightly more vertical as your boundary. Don't let it come down too much. Definitely avoid using light shimmery colours here, because that will accentuate and bring forward any areas of hoodedness. Is that a word? I'm not sure. So keep the lighter bit actually onto the mobile part of the eye, and the slightly darker bit higher up onto the just above the crease line. So faded brows, that's the third thing that we might be dealing with. Very, very common. And it's amazing how bringing back your brows can make such a difference to the whole effect of your face. So I'm going to do my brows now because I've lost the edge of this one. So I'm going to demonstrate with a wonderful product called Bring Back Brow. First thing I'm going to do is to groom my brows. So keep your brows, if you've got long, wiry, long, wiry, odd ones, then give them a little trim so that they're not out of control. And I'm going to use Bring Back Brow Shape today in shade Blonde, this one. Even if you've got no brows at all, this is a great product. It is literally a paint, and it's got a very fine brush, and you can fill in any little areas that you have got missing. I like to just add a little bit of length to my brows. When I'm doing the inner ones near the nose, I go upwards because that's the way that they actually grow. So faded brows, really easy using Bring Back Brow Shape just to literally bring them back. And if you've got a hooded heavy eye, then you can just lift your eye even more with your brows, just bringing the arch a little bit higher. If you've got eyes that are close together, you can start a little bit further out. The secret to this product is to go back afterwards with the spoolie brush number 6 and soften, particularly if you've started from scratch and you haven't got any brows, you just want to soften the effect. So hopefully that will create definition on faded brows. Narrow set eyes, or eyes that are fairly close together. Now, in fact, mine are a little bit close together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add a little bit of, I'm actually going to use, you could either use one of our creamy eyeshadow sticks, this one's champagne, or you could use one of our Sheer Brilliance lid colours, just on that inner third, just to make them pop. Maybe we'll use a creamy eyeshadow stick just to demonstrate. These are really easy to use. So if you've got narrow set eyes, you don't want to put a dark colour by the nose. You want to keep this nice and light, this area here, to have the effect of elongating the eyes. And then on the outer edge of the eye, like I've done, but even more so with narrow set eyes, putting a darker colour, which will again draw the attention to that outside and just make them look a little bit less narrow set or close together. The other thing is you can move the lashes even more when you're putting your mascara on to the outer edges of your eyes, just again to bring them out. Or you can use concealer. So if you don't want to use one of the shimmery products, the slightly shimmery products that we have, you can use a little bit of concealer. So our creamy concealer. Really important as well, if you've got blue bits here, I'm just going to put the concealer, which I haven't done yet, just into this area. And that, as you can see, has made a difference in making my eyes look a little bit wider, also a little bit less tired, getting rid of that bluiness. So again, you could use the concealer on that area with the concealer brush number 4. If you've got narrow set eyes. And finally, deep set eyes. So that's different from narrow set. Deep set eyes is where they are slightly sort of sunken back, and you've often got quite a dark, deeper area here, quite prominent. So with deep set eyes, you can balance them out using makeup. And what I would use on a deep set eye, I would make sure when I used my eye primer, my smooth out eye primer, that I definitely bring it, a lot of it here, and bring it a little bit higher. I would put it maybe a little bit underneath. With a deep set eye, I would use a little bit more concealer underneath the eye, make sure that this area is nice and light, because often with a deep set eye, the brow bone sort of hangs over and you get a little bit of shadowing underneath. I would use a fairly light, mid-tone to light colour all over the lid with a deep set eye, maybe something like caramel pink or the cappuccino that I've just used, or rose gold would be nice. And then I would only use the dark shadow, and I wouldn't go too dark, on that very outer edge. So I wouldn't bring it in here. You don't want dark here if you've got a deep set eye. You want the dark literally just on that outer edge and higher than the socket line, just here and here. And then the secret with a deep set eye is to put something like I have just done, either the Sheer Brilliance lid colour, either in the golden mist, or we do one called silver mist as well, and we do a green one too. just in to that area here, just again to bring forward that deep set shadow area. Or you can use one of our beautiful creamy eyeshadow sticks, either in shade Pearl or in the Champagne, which is the one that I have just used, this one. So I would use that in the inner third of a deep set eye, making sure that I push it into this area here. Again, with eyeliner on a deep set eye, I would just go on the outer edges so that you're not making the eyes look too round and closed. And I would tend to use slightly warmer or more neutral colours on a deep set eye, avoiding the really bluey grey colours, which again can accentuate sort of shadows that come from underneath. Often with a deep set eye, there's a lot of bluiness in this area. So making sure that you lighten this area makes a big difference. And then with anything like a deep set eye, prominent heavy lid, hooded eyes, if you can accentuate away and distract away with lovely lips, lovely blusher, nice brows, then that also works. Distraction away from areas that perhaps you are not quite so happy with. And that's where makeup is so good at actually working to create an illusion. That's what it is. So I hope that that has helped with a few tips and tricks for different eye shapes. If you've got any questions, then do ask us. But the thing to remember is light colours bring forward, dark colours push back, and it's really important to blend, whatever you do, using the Look Fabulous Forever shades. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy playing with your different eye shapes. Thank you. Bye-bye.